Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy Nova, aka Leon, aka there's a lot of AKAs, but whatever, man. We are here with my top four Adventure Despia deck profile. I had a few people ask me for this profile. For those who you follow me on Twitch at Nova Leo 411, all one word. Um, yeah, those follow me. I've been streaming a lot of it, and I've been doing really well with it for the most part. I took it to a case tournament. I made top four. It was a smaller case tournament, I admit. But yeah, it did really well. It drew really well, besides the two times it didn't. And one of those games I actually won still. But yeah, we're going to get right into the deck profile. So yeah, let's get started. So straightforward. The Despia package, two Aluber, two Tragedy, one Ad Libitum, one Comedy. This is all you need, because the adventure cards, you only play two Aluber because you don't want to conflict with the adventure cards, because this is a normal summon. Rather see just the branded fusion or opening as the next best thing. You don't really want to see this in Force and normal. And two Fallen Albaz. All these cards are pretty standard. The only thing that's not standard is Comedy. I like Comedy because it dodges effect veilers and perms, and you can do a lot of weird hat trick type plays with it once you kind of like figure them out. I won't go over it in this video, but if you guys want it, maybe I can do a video of like Despia hat tricks, I guess we'll call it. But yeah, that is the Despia monsters. And then we'll go for the adventure card. But this ratio is really nice. The one thing I would change is I definitely would play three. I tried playing three and I enjoyed it because it always gave me discard fodder. And in hindsight, this card will get Ash. If people don't know what you're playing, they will probably try to Ash this card, meaning you can activate Branded Fusion for free, which is really good. Right. Next, we'll go to the hand traps. Three Ash, pretty standard. Two Effect Veiler. I was playing a Golden Lord here. I did enjoy Golden Lord, but sometimes it just wasn't applicable, and then also it costs cards out your hand, the more important cards, which are like generally your spells and traps. So I ended up cutting it, so it's probably just going to be two Effect Veiler, so it's not bad. Two DD Crow. DD Crow was decent. It's not really much to say. You hit Spite, you hit Tier Limit. It was decent pretty much overall. Ghost Bell. This is a card I played to counter opposing DD Crows and Called by the Grave. And also I made that cross out designated, so if people sided against me. But in hindsight, this was just horrible. It's a very low impact hand trap. It doesn't do too much. I probably shouldn't have played it. I know I would definitely cut this. In the last hand trap, obviously one of the best ones. Triple Infinite Impermanence. Good going first, good going second. Just an overall good card, So these were the hand traps. In hindsight, for the hand traps, I'll probably will cut these and just play these right here. Like I said, Bell is really low impact, and DD Crow, even if I draw it, wouldn't be bad, and I play Cross Out Designator, so I can cross out the opposing DD Crows. So yeah, but yeah, that was just something in hindsight, But I already made my decision. I still did fairly well, but it is what it is. Now we're gonna move on to the spells. Spells, the obvious stuff: 3 Branded Fusion, 3 Branded Opening, only 2 Branded in red. 3 can be kind of bricky. But yeah, this is pretty standard as of now. Nothing too crazy going on. Next, for consistency, Triple Pot of Prosperity. This card was really good, but you have to know what to banish in certain situations. I'll go over my extra deck a little later and give you examples of that, but not all the time, because a lot of people just have a mindset, well, like, I'm going first, for an example, so I want to play pot, and because I'm going first, I'm banishing out my Zeus package. You can't do this going first or second with this card. You have to actually look at your hand, think about what you could possibly hit, think about what you want to hit, and what happens if you don't hit it. And yeah, you do a good amount of thinking with this card. or with this deck in general. So yeah, I'll go over a quick example when I get to the extra deck. But yeah, triple pot, 2 rights, faithful, Draco back, standard for the adventure package. I know earlier I said I'll increase the water enchantress to 3, but this will stay at 2 because water enchantress, like I said, is free fodder for discards, and then it's also ash bait where this isn't. Once you just play this, you're just kind of locked. And this is also really good just against all other decks in general, because a lot of people don't understand that like adventure cards, your opponent has to answer them, and also just out whatever board you put up for the most part. And also, fun fact, Toad cannot negate Faithful Adventure or Draco back once it's face up on the field. So don't forget that. Toad only negates the activations, not the effects. After these cards are face up on the board, you're not activating the card, you're activating the effect of a card. So keep that in mind. So that's why this is really good against Toad. If you catch your opponent off guard, they just lose their Toad for free, assuming it's not a sprite elf pointing to it. But yeah, it's pretty good. Triple Cross-Out Designator. If you play this deck, you need to play this card. I don't care what anybody tells you. I don't care what any of the quote-unquote pro players tell you. Your deck hard loses to Ash. You get Ash at the right time, you just lose. Have to play this card. Also you should be playing the adventure cards to also bait the Ash or mitigate an Ash if it happens. But yeah, Cross-Out Designator is definitely a must. Finally, Call by the Grave, standard for Cross-Out Designator, and Foolish Burial, starter, extender for the deck, whatever. And lastly, Branded Banishment. I made deck 1. It was really good against, if you play against Tearlament. I also played it against Hero. It was really good. And also, if you just, like, sometimes it's just good in general. Like, it was a lot of times where just having that card was extremely good. And it was sometimes where I made the mistake of siding it out, and I wish I had it. And I either lost the game or damn near lost the game because of it. So I think it should be played at 1, unless it's like completely useless, but I don't think it's ever really useless. All right, cool. We're going to get to the extra deck now. I played 1 Fraser Smith. Fraser Smith's really clutch. He attacked for game so many times. Dark Magician. Nah, just kidding. But this was my adventure token. Shout out to Fraser Smith at the I Am Nerd podcast. Also a good friend of mine. He doesn't play current meta, but he does play Edison if you're into it. So definitely check out his podcast, I Am Nerd podcast. I'll put a link in the description of this video for like maybe his Facebook page and things like that. But yeah, definitely follow him. But for real now, we got 2 Mara Jade, 2 Albion. You don't need the 3rd one. It never really comes up for me if you know how to manage your resources correctly and you play the deck correctly. 2 Bellion. This is one of the reasons why you never need 3, because you can always shuffle everything back. As long as you have 2 of these, you can always shuffle things back. And then also, depending on the grind of the game, you may find yourself in a situation where you have to summon this and shuffle 2 other cards back and not itself, which is why you play the 2nd one. Because sometimes this deck does grind. This is a mid-range deck. This is not a combo deck. A lot of people don't understand that. 2 Guardian Chimera. I never summoned the 2nd one. Most of the time, you just need something for Pot of Prosperity. So, yeah, these cards never got banished off of Prosperity. Sometimes one of these got banished. 2 Masquerade. If you could summon 2 against certain decks, you just win. And also, one of these usually got banished from Pot of Prosperity anyway. The last couple of cards, we have Draco Stapelia, Quartus. Then we have Titaniclad. Titaniclad is good because when, depending on the matchup, you know your opponent can't kill you. So even if your Mara Jade is negated or something of that nature, you just activate the effect and send Titaniclad to start breaking your board apart or start baiting cards already. It's really good. Borload Furious Dragon. This is really good if you get D-Shifter, and it also helps with the recursion. Along with Obelinatus. It's not as good as recursion for that because its fusion requirements is literally Fallen to Albaz plus any number of dragon monsters. So if I had Obelinatus and I summoned this could shuffle back almost my entire extra deck. It shuffles back a Fallen to Albaz. It can shuffle back double Fallen of Albaz, almost the entire extra deck, so that's why I might switch to Avolenatus in the future. But other than that, this was really good for if you get D-shifted, spot removal against Flow, spot removal against other decks. It was really good. And then the last card was a Link Monster, Relinquish Anima. So this comes up if you just open up a level 1 in Branded Red. And the thing I was talking about Prosperity earlier is like, normally this is one of the cards you would banish. But hypothetically speaking, if you have Branded in Red and no other starters, and you go pot for 3, you will want to keep this because if you hit a level 1 monster, you at least have a play to possibly go into either Guardian Chimera or a Quartus, depending on what they do with their board. You can go into Quartus, so it'll purposely die, and then you can summon Fall into Albaz, and then go into Mirror Jade or Lubellion, depending on the situation. So yeah, this is why you have to be thoughtful and realize what you have and don't have. But yeah, that was the extra deck. Now we're going to go into the side deck. I changed the side deck a lot over the week, but I'm just going to display the side deck I played at the tournament, obviously. All right, so we're going to start off with one Pankratops. Pankratops, like I said before, Pankratops is really good against any Power of the Element deck. Sprite, even if they set up the board, you go Special Summon. Also, a lot of Sprite players are leaning against summoning the Duprog because of Super Poly. And then also, for some reason, I notice it's just a mind game. If you get the standby phase and you ask them first anything, they think about it, and sometimes they just don't summon the Dewfrog if they have it. So if you have this, you literally go Special Summon, enter battle, beat over Toad, effect, pop something else, generally the Elf, and congratulations, you cracked the whole board with one card. So Pankratops was really good. Next, triple Evenly Match. I wanted to play Evenly Match because I didn't want to play traditional board breakers, because against this deck, a lot of people side deck in Anti-Spell Fragrance. And most of the time, you just kind of lose to that card. So it's not really too much you can do about that. So yeah, next we have the Twin Twister, just to complement the Evenlies. And also if they play Mystic Mine, it'll give you an out along with the Evenly, so you'll probably evenly to like base some cards, because most decks that play Mystic Mine play Judgment and other cards like that. Then once you overload the back row, you know, they're out of stuff, you just go Twin Twister, hit the mine, and then you can probably just kill them. Lastly, triple D barrier for any mirror match, any synchro based decks if you play any, and for Element, good. I wouldn't change it. Math Mech, I have to definitely respect the Math Mech matchup, so I played 3, there can only be 1. You flip this up, it's just game. I was a little upset because sometimes I just didn't see it, which was unfortunate, but it is what it is. 1 red reboot. I sided this in against Splight because Splite's Toad would just negate any real threat, so you can't just go like Twin Twisters or something if they sided in red Anti-Spell Fragrance, because the Toad would just negate it. And then you'll still be under Anti-Spell, unless you have like double Twin or something, and then it's just like, okay, cool, now you're on, what, 2 cards? So that's not worth it. And then the last 3 cards, as you guys saw on stream, 2 Raw Spare Mode to break boards. Cards really great. And then lastly, I played 1 Wing Dragon Raw. So this card was actually really fun. I only summoned it twice. One time was on stream where I actually misplayed, but it was just something fun to put in there, because like any other card I would side deck, I wouldn't want to side deck 1 copy of, besides maybe Harpy's Feather Duster. But I didn't want to side deck for the reason I mentioned earlier, Anti-Spell Fragrance, and is really weak against like Toad. So yeah, that was the deck. Like I said, I got top 4. It was a fun event. I really appreciate the people for hosting the event. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I really like the deck. Please comment, like, and subscribe to the video if you guys want to see more. My next deck I'm going to focus on is most likely Tearlament, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, you guys have a good night, and thank you for watching. I appreciate it.